Hi guys, it's Carissa here with the Blitsy creative team, and today I have a project for you working in my Strathmore watercolor journal. We're going to be using the Dr. P.H. Martin's Radiant Concentrated Watercolors to make this page in my journal. Like I mentioned, I am working in the Strathmore Visual Journal. It's a watercolor 140 pound paper, cold press, so it has some texture, which I like. And I have set A of the Dr. P.H. Martin's Radiant Concentrated Watercolors, and I think it gives you a really nice rainbow of colors. It's really pretty. And I am using my silver black velvet brushes. I think I pulled out a 12, 8, and 6 round. These are my palettes. These are porcelain palettes. They're called the Petal Porcelain Palette, I believe, and I love them. They are the best palettes for mixing any of your watercolors, but especially these where I can just drop in the color and have it all there for me. So I did end up putting all of the colors on my palette, but I didn't use them all. You just never know. So maybe next time I'll try to pick out a couple and go from there. Using the Prima Marketing Bloom Girl collection. This is the Florals. I love these flowers. There's 3 sizes. I love this large one. And I love how each flower is kind of different as far as the way that it's opening and the way it's facing, and you can layer them and have a lot of fun with them. So I stamped them in Versamark Onyx Black ink. That's a waterproof ink. It's what I love to use when I am going into a project that I'm going to stamp and then watercolor. I am going to do a little bit of real time for you so you can see how it looks in real time, where I'm laying down just some clean water and then I'll bring in some of the color, and wherever I've laid down the water, that's where the color is going to spread, and it won't spread beyond that unless I lay down water outside of that and I want it to soften and blend. So you can see everywhere I laid water and then I brought in that yellow, it just spreads only where I had that water already. So I really like this. It's a wet on wet technique where you wet your paper first and then you bring in your color and you start blending. You get beautiful blends when you bring in 2 different colors or multiple colors and you are working on a wet paper. You'll see here I'm going to bring in some of this pink and just putting a little dot, and it'll kind of start to spread and move on its own depending on how wet the paper is and how wet your brush is. And then I can just keep moving it and bring in some more clean water and spread that out a little bit more if I'm not liking the way that it's going. So I wanted you to kind of see it in real time, but there was no way that I could have this whole video in real time. This page took me, you'll probably laugh, but it took me about an hour from start to finish. I just kind of played and lost myself in the watercolor and allowed it to go where it wanted to go. And if I would have left it in real time, that would have been a crazy long video, but I wanted you to kind of see how it looks. And now I've sped it up, I think like time and a half, so that we can get all of it for you on here. And I did cut out parts, like I start coloring in the flowers and I kind of color them in all the same, so I just show you on the large flower how I lay down the color and blended. So here I am, I'm going in with a pink down here, the same pink that I brought in at the top, and it kind of made that pretty orange color because pink and yellow make orange. And there I'm showing you how you can take a thirsty brush, basically a almost completely dry brush, and lift some of the color up if it was getting too dark in places. So you'll see me do that quite a bit on the flower as well, where I'll just dry off my brush a bit and then lift off some of the color. Now the P.H. Martin's, this particular Radiant watercolor, it doesn't lift all the way. So some watercolors you'll get a really high lift, like you can lift it completely white, and it has a lot to do with your paper as well. This Strathmore watercolor journal is more of a student grade watercolor journal. So I like to do a lot of practicing in it, exploring, art journaling. It's not going to be like, stuff that I display. It's just in my art journal just to get to know my products and all that. But some of the watercolors that you'll use will lift more than others. And like I said, it does, it depends on your paper. A higher quality paper will usually lift better than a student grade paper. So just to keep that in mind as well. And I decided I like to do black and white with pops of color. And so that's where this page took me today. And I had started with the background, and I didn't go in thinking that I would do the flowers black and white. But once I had that bright background, I thought it would be so pretty to have that contrast to make my flowers in these gray tones. I did the center and I wanted to give it a little bit more color, and so I brought in purple. I wasn't too happy with it, but you'll see as we move on, you won't even see that purple in the end. This page kind of took me in a direction where I was almost going to not even use it. But you can see that a lot of times I will take my heat tool and dry in between layers if I want to keep going. So here's where it kind of took a turn for what I thought might be the worst. I didn't want to have drips all the way across my page. Like, that's not what I was going for when I did this. But when I tilted my page, the drops just kept going. I wanted them to kind of drip off the flower, but not completely off my page. And after I kind of worked with it for a little bit, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go with this. And I ended up making all of the flowers do this. So I started with that top flower. Now I'm going into this big bottom flower. And I'm just going to continue to add a lot of color, a lot of the black, and then tilt my page and get those to drip and spread and drop all over the page. And then for me, watercoloring is all about layers. I will start with a really light layer, and then if I want to build it up, I can, because it's a lot harder for me to remove color than it is to add color. So I'll start with like a really light layer of shadows and shading, and then as I move on in the page, you'll see that I bring those further out and I'll add more color to the center of the flower, but I still will leave the outside of it really light, and sometimes in spots even just white. So to give that highlight, and it really makes the flower pop off the page. So I don't know, at this point I was happy with the drips. I was like, okay, I wasn't sure what was going to happen, but then I was happy with it. So it's one of those mistakes. You just got to kind of continue with it and see where the page is going to take you. And then here's another thing. This video is just I was adding my splatters, and I splashed, you can see that pink, I splashed the lens, and yeah, I didn't realize it until almost the end of the video. So I ended up outlining, I don't know if you saw that, but I took a black pen and outlined all of my images, all of the stamping, to make it nice and crisp. And now I'm coming in with a white Sharpie and bringing out some of those highlights in the center of the flower where the stamp had like all of these dots and texture, and I wanted to bring that back in. And now I'm adding my stamp, which it says everything happens for a reason. I think that's what this page was teaching me as far as like the drips going crazy out of control. Right there you can see when I splattered into the black, the yellow and the pink, it kind of pushed that dark away from the center, and it just looks really cool. Like, that's probably one of my favorite parts of this entire page. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I love these watercolors because they are so vibrant and bright, and this set is a great one to get because you get such a wide variety of colors. If you're interested in watercolors, I think it's a really good one to start with. For more ideas and inspiration, be sure to follow the Facebook page for Blitsy as well as our blog, and I will see you next time. Bye.